Right.
Okay, good evening. Good evening. I am Lisa Marie with Sistah Girls Book Club, and I am here with Evelyn Latrice. And we are here tonight to discuss our book choice of the month, which was To the Moon. Um, while I hope we have people joining because a lot of people were interested. I saw the people were interested.
Right.
And if not, if you're watching this later on YouTube, that's cool too. Leave a comment. Let us know.
Right. Right.
Here's the numbers. The numbers are going. So if
Okay.
you are joining, say hi in the chat. Talk to us in the chat, and we will.
Hey y'all.
Good evening. Thank you for joining. Oh, I don't know where you are, but hey. Thank you for joining us. Check in and say hi in the chat. Leave questions and comments in the chat. We would appreciate it. Hi Cheryl. Where you checking in from? It's other people on here. They don't never check in. But while we let the ladies check in, they are joining us. We are going to start with a few icebreaker questions to get us
Okay.
warmed up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Don't think, just answer.
Okay.
You making me laugh.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I'm silly, so I'm sorry.
Okay. Water, wine, coffee, or tea?
Water.
Morning or night?
Night.
Digital or print?
Digital.
Standalone or series?
Standalone.
Music or quiet?
Music.
See, that wasn't too bad. And you did you was giving it to
See,
me. That wasn't too bad.
girl, I got a big head. See, it looked like I wasn't thinking, but I was because my head big. You really can't tell it go fast like that.
Oh my gosh, it's fine. You did great. You didn't take too long to
Thank
think.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cheryl, we got Cheryl calling from the Bayou State of Louisiana. Hey.
Hey, Cheryl.
I do not wanna
Me either.
I don't wanna
Hey,
mis-
AG.
I
Hey,
don't wanna
Miss
mispronounce that name. Tosh? Can I just say
Tosh.
is
Right.
that okay? I because I have did
Okay.
we just talk about this? I have
Yep.
a big thing about mispronouncing names. So
Right.
Tosh, AG, thank you for
Tasha Lisa. I think I said it right.
Philly in the building, period. Thank you, period. Um, I'm a Philly girl through and through.
Okay.
People say they can hear it, but I don't think they
I
can.
can hear it.
You only saying it now because I said it.
No, it's like sometimes I really can't tell the difference of like Philly and Baltimore when y'all are actively
That.
talking. When
I
y'all
don't
are
hear that.
actively talking.
People say that and I don't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not talk about me. Let's talk about you. Where are you from? And what do you
Okay.
do when you're not writing? I'll be about to get an answer. Okay. Where are you from?
Mm-hmm.
I know you hear it, AG, because we sound alike. But when other people say they hear it, I don't believe them. Where are you
Right.
from? And what do you like to do when where your accent from?
I'm from Massachusetts, but I was raised in Georgia.
Okay.
So I like to tell people I'm from Georgia. I was 4 when I moved here, so I'm from Georgia. Um, but I like to do nothing when I'm not writing.
You know what? I respect that to the highest degree.
I like to just literally do nothing. When I say nothing, like not watching TV. The most I might do is listen to music. But when I'm not writing, I just want to sit there and just do nothing.
You don't like to read?
I do like to read.
Okay.
However, I feel like I've slowed down on reading, and not since I became an author, because that's not true. But I say within like the last year or two, I've kind of slowed down on reading. Um, so I don't really do that as much for fun anymore as I'm used to. And sometimes I joke and I say, I really miss being a reader.
It is dope. It's I like it.
Right.
It's such an experience, and I
It
love
is.
the book club. We get to have this shared experience, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's so beautiful. I think we are. I'm not even gonna say a number. I'm not even gonna say a number, but we have been building this community for a while now. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really great to have this shared experience
Right.
um with this all these fictional characters. Like like it's so weird because this is a very small community, and then when you get down to independent Black authors, it's even
Mm-hmm.
more small. And I actually keep telling people, like my family and my friends, they was like, why you don't talk about your book club or the books you read? Why don't you talk about it with us? Not because these are not the books that you guys read.
Right. 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 Right.
It's signed on the New York Times bestseller. I'm like, they're better than that, first of all. But these
Mm-hmm.
it's a very niche group of people, and that's who I talk
Mm-hmm.
about these books with. That's who I
Mm-hmm.
keep talking about these books with. Like y'all not gonna read them. So
Mm-hmm.
I keep like, even when we last year we had our behind the pen, and like literally the week of, my family was like, why you never invited us? And I was like, have y'all heard of these authors? Like what are y'all gonna come and do?
Right. 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 Right.
So now for 2025, my whole family like wants to make a whole big like, oh, we're all gonna go. Oh
Right.
my
Right.
God,
Right. Right.
please. But oh, we got a pronunciation. All right.
Tosha Laser. Tosha Laser. Tasha Laser.
No, it's definitely toe.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what,
Tosha
that's
Laser.
what she wrote.
Mm-hmm.
You did a good job.
English is my first language.
Period. Because I listen. I, I,
African American vernacular is my first language. Let me say
that's
that.
my first
So,
language. That's my first language. English, the Queen's English. She said we got it right.
oh, see, hmm. Look at what
Um,
the hood taught me.
it's a hood in Massachusetts.
I said I was raised in Georgia. I was raised in Georgia.
You said you moved from Georgia when you were 4.
No, I moved to Georgia when I was 4.
Oh, I thought you said you moved from Georgia when you
Mm-mm.
were
I
4.
moved here when I was 4. So I like to
You're still
say,
in Georgia.
yes, I'm in
So
Atlanta, Georgia now.
you're in Atlanta now, but that's not where you were.
Hmm.
That's not where you were raised.
No, I was raised in Columbus, Georgia, which was a military base. Fort Benning, Georgia. They
Oh,
changed the name now.
my uncle was in the Air Force, and that was his last base.
Yeah, so my dad retired from Fort Benning, Georgia
And that's where
when I was 4.
that's how my family ended up. Half of my family's in Georgia, in for that reason. So
You
I'm
see?
girl next one now. I'm like, hey girl, what you doing? Where you at?
Right.
Because I try to, yeah, girl, I'm gonna call you. Okay,
Right. I'm a girl.
let's get back on track.
Okay.
Really. When did you know you wanted to be an author?
Um, honestly, I never knew I wanted to be an author. Um, until we moved here to Atlanta and I didn't have anything to do. I was a full-time reader at the time. I was a stay-at-home mom. I had just had a baby, my 4th child, and she was only a couple of months. And I just was like, you know what? I'm always reading these books, but let me try to write one. And I did.
And that was
And I was like, oh, it was really easy. Not easy like that, but it wasn't as complicated as I thought it would be since I never thought about writing. But that the structure, the writing, I'm pretty decent with, the basics of writing a story or whatever. So I just did it and then I submitted it to a publisher and they were like, okay, yeah, this is good. And I was like, oh, now I'm an author.
now I'm an author.
Right. Look at God.
Stay-at-home mom, the author, before the baby
Mm-hmm.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's
I
20.
remember having her sitting on my lap and like writing at night because she was a breastfed baby. So she was like super clingy to me. And it was just like, okay, I still want to write. I don't have anything else to do. So I did it with her on my boob, on my lap, on my hip, beside me, all of that.
And did you have a creative process? Did like what made you say, "Oh, this thought is going to be my first story"?
Um, I think it was a song. I don't remember what song I heard. That's kind of like how my brain works, whether it's just people watching or a song playing. Um, a movie just pops in my head, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll have the gist of the story, and then I'll start. Well, back then I had a gist. I start writing, and then I'll kind of like outline a little bit within the writing process. Now I have a gist, I outline, then I start writing.
Okay, so for To the Moon, what was the inspiration? Like, what was the song, the thought, the what? How did we get this?
Okay, To the Moon started off as an experience. Um, One of my really, really good friends, I'm the only girl and I'm the baby, so I have no sisters, but I met this girl in the sixth grade and we instantly became sisters, right? So I consider her a sister. We might not even talk every day as much as we used to, because life, but if I had to pinpoint a sister, she's not just my best friend. I do have a best friend, but they are two different people. She is my sister.
I went to boarding school, and I met
Uh-huh.
my sister when I was in the second grade, and she was in the third grade, and we are. We'll be 35 this year. Well, I'll be 35. She'll be 36. She'll kill me if she'll ever see this. So
Right.
I'm so glad she don't watch this stuff. So
Right.
I say that to say I completely had a very
Yeah.
comment. So yes, I went to boarding school.
Yeah.
Have been like this, and people like that's your best friend. I'm like, if people, like her family, my family, everybody knows. Like, no, that's my sister.
Exactly.
I
That's
was your
my
sister.
sister.
So it's like clothes off your back, like her
Mm-hmm.
kids know, like, no, that's mommy's sister, that's our emergency
Mm-hmm.
contact, that's the person
Mm-hmm.
to go with, like everybody.
Yep.
So I completely relate.
Yeah. So it started with her. Her son was killed last year.
I'm
And
sure that.
that emotion came from a real place. And I was like, I really wish I could give her a happily ever after. So that was where To the Moon started. That is where Lunar came from. Essentially, the grief of that came from a real place. From her, like her grief, my grief, I transformed it into a story. Now, everything else is very much fictional.
Mhm.
It's not based off of her. She's not a bad mom. I don't have a bad mom. She doesn't have a bad mom. But the grief in that story came from a real place. Um, Everything else just kind of took off once I heard Lift Off one random day, while I was writing it, and I was like, that's it. And it just introducing the jig, introducing Luna and Jason.
But so these characters just came from like nowhere, like they just started talking to you. Like you had this grief, and even you're saying Lunar is not based off of your deceased nephew, unfortunately, but
Mhm.
it's just that you had this feeling that you wanted other
Mhm.
people, that other people have had, and you're like, how can
Mhm.
you wrap this feeling up and
Mhm.
kind of use it to be the gas, right?
Right. The catalyst of what To the Moon was. I think that the grief kind of was a character within itself, especially for that first half of that book, them navigating and weaving life while our dreamer is gone, like
I'm not gonna lie, I was crying. Like because
I cry.
I think that was the like you that for me was like it was hard, not hard because it was a good book, right? It was a great book,
Mhm.
but hard because if you have experienced anything close to that, even if you
Mhm.
haven't, you hear these stories of these,
Mhm.
like, I'm from Philly.
Right.
You hear these stories every single day, or you
Mhm.
experienced something close enough where you're like, you you just start asking like what is going on and why is this happening, especially
Mhm.
for us. We
Right.
so much already as a culture, as a people,
Right.
And it's like we're still struggling, and the ways in this particular instance, it seems like we don't have a lot of options. And our young people feel like they don't have a lot of options. Like people don't see the stuff that goes on
Mm-hmm.
in our city a lot. I know Philly gets a
Mm-hmm.
bad rap but it's so much good that goes on. But also the stuff that's on that's actually going on the daily, it's mind blowing, and
Right.
it's so interesting because you captured it, I think, so well, in not just for this one place, but for every place. Like,
Yeah, right. Anywhere. Yeah, the jig could have been anywhere, any city, any state, and it could have been relatable because it was rooted in things that happen in real life, things that have been happening in our community since the beginning of time. Since they gave us the ghetto, this is what the ghetto looked like. It didn't matter if you were from the north, south, east, west, midwest. The jig is so relatable because even if you've never lived in that type of environment, you've heard of it, you've seen it, you drove past it. And with today, with social media and the internet, the world is so accessible to us that everybody has seen it. Even people who are so far removed from that lifestyle, you've seen it. You can relate some kind of way. And I think that the ghetto is somehow embedded in our DNA.
mm,
Like I say, even when you're removed, if you have a heart, it touches you in some kind of way because it's just there. It's it's just there. It's hard to explain, but it's there.
it was so funny because I grew up hood adjacent, and I tell people
Me
that
too.
all the time. I grew up hood adjacent, so I'm very aware. Like,
Hmm.
some things I've never experienced, but I'm also very aware that
Hmm.
people really live like this, and sometimes it is exploited in a way that is dangerous to those communities because
Hmm.
it's glorified.
Hmm.
It's like this, it can be dangerous in some ways, but I know people who really live this life. Like, I encounter people who really live this life, and I think not only grieving for the death, but grieving for the death of dreams, right? For the
Hmm.
ones who feel like this is the only option, for the ones who feel like they can't do it, that is more so always my thought is like, what about the ones who didn't want to pick up the guns? What about the ones who didn't want to pick up the drugs? What about the ones who didn't want to
Hmm.
pick up boys? You know, the death of their dreams is so vivid for me. And I like the first half, like, I actually started reading it when I wasn't supposed to reading it. And I hope you know when I say that, because people are like, what you know where I was at. I wasn't supposed to be doing that, but I was doing it anyway.
Hmm.
I actually had to close it because I couldn't be doing it and crying, because then that's going to bring too much attention my way, if you understand my drift.
Right.
So I had to wait till I got home, and I was like, dang, I really want to finish this because
Thanks.
like I tell people, any book is a good book if it brings out emotion in you, because these people are like, even if I hate your character, I will still consider it a good book, because the fact that you
Hmm.
hate somebody who don't exist, baby, you was right.
Hmm. Right.
I actually didn't hate anybody in this book.
Good.
Not even the mom.
I've gotten mixed reviews on that, but
I didn't even hate the mom, because what I realized about parents, not and this is not about it being right or wrong. What I've realized about parents is parents have their own traumas. They're people first, and I
hmm,
think that they should not bring small tiny people into these predicaments, but people do it every day, and that's just the reality.
every day. Yep,
Um,
that's true.
Small break. We got 29 people watching, and only like 3 checked in. Check in, leave a comment.
Check in, y'all. Say
Supposed to
hey.
be interactive. This is your opportunity to talk about the book as well. So don't let us just be do 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 do.
Right.
We could do it.
I know I can.
So were you expecting such a positive reception to this release? Like, did you go when you press publish? Were you like, this is going to be the book?
Okay.
I have a
It's
follow.
a
I
part
have
of
a follow
me.
question to that. So I will hold on.
It's okay.
Like, let's yes or no that.
I didn't know it was gonna do what it did.
Okay.
But do I always cockily go into a release and like, yeah, this is gonna be the one. Yes, I do.
You do? This is the most,
I do
no other
every
I'm so
time.
nervous. You know what?
No.
I love that. Very Kanye of you. When was the last time somebody told you that say that you were great? That was very Kanye. I love that. Because on your Instagram, you did say this is the best book you've ever written.
And I'm gonna say it the next time too.
You know what?
Because my goal is to always do my best. Mm-hmm. So if I did my best on To the Moon, and I'm planning on doing my best on Beyond the Stars, it gotta be better. Like, I have to tell myself that this is gonna be better because I'm elevating every second of the day in every aspect of my life. Literally, I think that I'm a better mother today than I was yesterday. I'm a better wife today than I was yesterday. I'm a better daughter. Like, that's how I talk to myself. I'm better today than I was yesterday because
somebody put these affirmations in the chat. Come on. Where we at? I am better because I need to start talking to myself like that.
That is literally how I talk to myself. And just a side note, I'm so thankful for my mom for kind of instilling that into me in the way that she did. Like, shout out to my mom. She passed, but she was a real one.
She heard you. She heard you.
You're right. She heard me.
Listen, I'm gonna start because that accompanied with the 1% method that I'm on reading Atomic Habits. Mm-hmm. I think that affirmation works with that book. I'm 1% better. I'm always doing better. I'm better today. My next project, whatever I do next, is going to be better than what I did because I already know how to come. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Because this book was different. Was this book different from what you've written in like?
Yeah. I want to say yes and no. I think that the whole project felt a little bit different for me. However, where I'm an emotional writer, I think that I've done that in most of my other books. Granted, in some of those books, I don't think I dived as deep emotionally as I am as a writer, but that's just because of the politics, right? I am a student of the industry always. Mm-hmm. And at one point in time, a few years ago, I was kind of, switching it up to what I was 100% comfortable with doing, just because that was what was going to sell. And although I love writing, I'm never going to say that I would continue to write if I made $0. No, I'm not. I'm not.
I love the honesty.
This is a career. Passion should be profit. That's how I think about things, right? Now, is it always going to be a large amount of profit? Not necessarily, because the industry is, you could pop today and not do that well the next book, but then take off again. But I'm just saying, like, if I only made $0, I probably would not continue to write. Or if I would write, I probably wouldn't put it out. Because, like, we pay money on the back end for these books. We're paying for covers. We're paying for edits. We're paying for promotions. We're paying for software to make this book look, so good on the inside, or formatting. We're paying for paper. Like, it's money that we're, putting into it on the back end. So it do have to make sense. My passion has to be profit at some point.
Okay. So this book thus far, well, no, you've had another release since this book. Mm-hmm. But we're here to talk about this book. Uh-huh. Has been everywhere, like literally.
It is my most successful book.
It's been everywhere. Like, yeah. People were like, you have to read this book. And I was reading something else and they were like, no, you have to read this book. And I was like, wow. So how much research did you have to do to write this book? Because now knowing that these characters who are not based off of anything that you know about. You have
Mhm.
somebody selling hair, somebody writing songs, and she was she is becoming a singer.
Mhm.
Somebody makes it in the NFL. We have somebody fixing cars, which turns into his own body shop. Like you
Mhm.
have all of these different various things. So how much research did you put into each character to develop them? Because this is this was a true developmental book. Like this wasn't. I've read books where we start with the character 25, we might end at a birthday, but this
Right.
was really a developmental process.
The most research I had to do was when it came to sports. When I say I am not a sports girly, I am not a sports
Mhm.
girly. So,
I will read a
um,
sports romance every day, but I cannot watch
n-
sports.
like I cannot, like I don't know where my mind goes even when I attempt to watch sports. Like it just goes blank. So I did lean on my husband. I leaned on his best friend who I call him my brother, so shout out to him. But I am a you really can't tell me anything type of girl. So although I asked them questions, I had to Google it. Like I had to do my own research because I only trust my own knowledge. Like I don't know. I'm weird like that. I cannot take everybody else's word for something. But they did, help me out with that. When it comes down to songwriting, I'm a music fanatic. I like to joke about all these past lives I've had.
I saw that.
So I was definitely a songwriter and stuff in my past life. I used to want to be a singer and then I wanted to be a radio personality. So that was easy. Hair, I didn't really have to do that much research just because I've seen girls sell hair. Like I can put 1 + 1 = 2. I could kind of put that together. And having a shop, I did have to do a little bit of research on that. Like how French had to enlist another person to put the license up under because he wasn't a licensed mechanic. So I did do a little bit, but my most research came from the sports. Because
Okay.
I'm like, how many years do you have to do in college before you could be drafted in the NFL? Like that is what I had to do my research on because
It's
yeah, I would have had that. I would have had
I
that.
think now they changed it after like I think it was
Yeah,
it used to you used to could get drafted
used
right
to
out
do
of
it
high
high
school,
school. Yep, but
and
now
then
you
it's
have to
one
do
year
2 years in
for
college.
2 years. And I think the NBA is 1 year because they changed it
Mhm.
the year after Carmelo got drafted. I know that for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm. Me too.
I know that they changed it the year after Carmelo and LeBron got drafted. That because they were
Mhm.
the last two people to get
High
drafted.
schoolers. Mhm.
And I remember the NFL was like, "Are we going to change it?" The NBA is changing it. I remember it was like this whole back and forth thing, and I knew
Yep.
the NFL definitely changed it. I just wasn't sure if it was 1 year like the NBA or 2 years.
Two. Yeah.
And now we
It's
all
two
know.
years.
And now when it's a question on Jeopardy, I'm like, I got the answer.
Right, we got the answer, right. So that was all the research that I had to do. I didn't have to do research on the place because it's a fictional place.
But that brings me to my next question. Because where would if Sapphire City was on the map, where would it
Mhm,
be? Because the jig is a character of its own, right? The jig
mhm,
is a character. And I think that's what made you really one you put us there, right? If you've
mhm,
never been there before, you didn't. If you've never been there before, you didn't have to think about it too much. You didn't have
mhm,
to you rely on your imagination, but so much because you really
mhm,
laid it all out for what this community was like,
mhm.
how it was laid out, why they
Right.
behave the way that they do. But if you had to put it on the map, where would it be?
Okay, if I had to put it on the map, Sapphire City is one of 3 cities in my world. Well, it started off as one of 3 cities in my world, but there are gonna be some more cities coming up in the future. So it's would be in Georgia.
Mhm.
In if you're looking at a map, I would say Sapphire City would have to be like Augusta, Georgia,
Okay.
on the map. Um, and then Emerald City would be Atlanta, and then Jade City would be Columbus, Georgia. And
Okay.
it's like how those 3 points They're all about 2 hours away from each other, close enough for you to travel to, but far enough for them to kind of have their own identity. Because here in Georgia, those three cities, although kind of close, they're completely different from each other. Completely different from each other. So that was kind of like my mindset on it.
Okay. Because it's a lot of inner city ghettos that we are familiar with, because that could have been Philly, that could have been New York, it could have been a place in Florida, it could it just could have been so many different places, but the characteristics of the city, like, it really spoke to me. Like I said, I'm from Philly. It was easy for me to put myself in these characters, but you did a really good job developing the city for people who aren't familiar with what the city life is like. It's great, guys. Great. It's wonderful. I actually do love Philly. I tell people that all the time. They're always like, "You're sure?" Yeah, I actually do. I actually do. Really.
Do you still live in Philly?
Girl, yeah.
Okay.
The only reason I'm leaving is because it's cold. Like, that's like, I'm not one of them people like, let's run from Philly. Like, that's not me. Anybody who knows me, like, I am a diehard Philly girl through and through. I'm not one of them. Oh, my whole thing about it is, if we all leave, who's going to change it? Who, like, what is, like, leaving just your talent to another city? Everybody did this great escape to Atlanta, and there's no shade to Atlanta. I've been going back and forth to Atlanta since I was a child because my family has been down there. But when that whole great let's move to Atlanta thing, it's like, that's why Atlanta is the way it is now. Not saying that it's a bad thing, because Black people do deserve to have their safe place, which Atlanta ain't that safe. The real Atlanta ain't that safe, but that's not a story that I'm gonna go get into. But that great exodus of
You're not lying, and that's why I didn't stop you.
Like I said, I've been going back and forth. Like, I literally have been going back and forth to Atlanta since I was a child. Like, that literally. Like I said, my uncle was in the Air Force. That was his last base. My family stayed down there. He lived in Smyrna. My cousins had been in Atlanta since. Like, I don't have no reason to sit here and be like, oh, no, I ain't got no reason to hate on it. It's a beautiful place that you can get a lot more money, a lot more land for your money. Don't get me wrong. That's the one thing I do like about the South in general. But as far as the great exodus of leaving these other cities to go to a different city to start over, I just personally don't believe in it. I think people, yes, you need to do what's best for you, but if you truly are passionate about what you're doing and what you're bringing and your talent, why not, instead of running from your city, why not pour those resources into it to flip it over? And
right.
That's always been my thought process. Now, however, baby, it's cold up north. I ain't built. When they say it's cold, we mean it's cold. And we're not even upper New York or Maine or no. We say it's cold, it's cold.
It's cold.
Me and my cousins joke all the time. They came up, they be like, oh, we're gonna bring our winter jackets. And it'd be like
a little jacket. And you like, nah, baby.
Jacket.
Like, you got 2 or 3 of them.
I'd be like, y'all need to bring coats. And they'd be like, we don't have coats. And I'm like, then don't come in the wintertime.
Because these little trench coats that we wear down here, they're not thick like that.
And we always get to this debate. I'm like, don't stop coming in the winter. Y'all come with these little coats with the kids. Like, stop. Y'all need an extra coat. It's snow on the ground.
Right.
So
yeah,
I
agree.
That's and even still, I'm not moving. Like, that's the reason why Philly finna get rid of me, because they got one more winter for them to act real stupid with this weather machine. We're done. We're breaking.
You know, it's a weather machine too, girl.
They got one more time to act with this weather machine, and we're done. Okay.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I don't like the cold, but I don't like the hot either. So I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I can't help you, because that is. I would rather be hot. I want to move to an island.
I'd rather be cold.
These characters felt so familiar. They were young, very young, which I love a good coming of age story. Most people don't like the young bucks. I love it. I love reading about young people overcoming and becoming adults and seeing that adult life is trash and making the most of it. They possess so much depth, development, Like you just took us through a lot of different rides with their relationships, the dynamics, the maturity. Tell us your view of these characters, how you feel about them. Like, how did you keep up with the different dynamics, the characters? Did you know from the very beginning that how the end was going to be? You said you outlined it, so like, come on, come on. We really want to
Yes.
get into your brain about kids.
I have to know what the ending is going to be before I can even get an idea of the middle. So I'll have my beginning, but the ending is so important to me. I'm like, okay, how is this going to end? Who's going to be together? Who's not? Because it's for me, it's always going to be a love story. So like, who's going to be in love at the end of these stories? Who's not going to be in love?
Always going to be a happily ever after.
For now, I was just talking to a colleague and I was like, oh my God, I want to do a not happily ever after just because the demon in me is like, and so that may be a thing.
Are you a Gemini?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am. So,
no, I'm a Cancer.
Oh, my sister is a Cancer, and she's a crybaby though. So.
We only cry because we can't kill you.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm a Gemini, so there's an angel and a demon, and that makes me want to do like a.
Soon as you
I want y'all to bawl y'all eyes out because you wouldn't even expect to happen something that's gonna happen. It's just like, and now your heart is broken.
That's really mean. Sign me up.
But I haven't done it yet, so I care. I care.
Sign me up. Can I get an ARC of that one? Because I would like.
Right. See, I would love to read.
That kind of sounds up my alley. Would you?
Yeah.
Slide me a advance.
Right. I gotta get the whole thing in my head. Right. So as long as I have an ending for something, it could become a thing. You know. That's what I said. As long as I know what the ending is going to be, I could kind of get the beginning and the middle. But
these characters got their happily ever after, and that was important.
I knew they were going to get a happily ever after.
They had to. If you ended this story with, like, my mind, hear me out. If you ended this story on like some love and basketball type stuff, where like Javon got hurt and he
right.
A kept man. Barbie left them. Like, if you would have left,
right.
did something like something twisted like that,
right?
I might have still went for it. Somebody, as long as somebody got a happy, as long as somebody.
No, I knew that all of them had to have a happy ending because remember, I said the grief pushed me into wishing that I could give my friend a happily ever after. So I knew that they
had to have a happily ever after.
Right. But I struggled with that a little bit too, because I was like, oh my God, I don't want the readers to think, oh, how's everybody getting a happily ever after? Because readers do think like that sometimes. But you know what? Again,
because they went through
I had to double down on myself and say, although I care about how something is going to be received, I'm still going to write it the way I want it to be written. And I had to make sure that I was like, even if they hate it, I still was going to feel really, really good about To the Moon just because of where that grief had come from, where that grief in the beginning half was centered in. And it was like, that within itself was my prize of being able to do that.
The grief and then the guilt for the three, because regardless of if it was on some one protection or get back, it was a mixture of both. Clearly, the thing that we can't say, the unaliving of a person on a that guilt can really, I don't think people like it's because it's so common in books. I don't think people realize in real life how mentally heavy it is to do something like you're a good person. Let me antidote that with that, because some people are just downright mean. I seen like all these no, people are, because you see like these memes and stuff, and I'm always laughing because they be like, girls who read books. What did the meme say? Something like, girl who read books with a nigga that will you it then will lay down and cuddle with his girl watching her period. So it was like something very dramatic, and it was like these books really will have you confused. Like with somebody is not easy. Like that is
it's not easy, and it's not normal.
And it's not normal. And we read books every day. Like,
yeah, he should have just shot. He should have and did this and it's like. It's like, see, the book me would enjoy a man that does that. The real life me would not.
So we're all in this delusion together. We're all in this delusion together. And that's why I bring that up, because he was not in that lifestyle at all, right? He was, he had a temper, but having a temper is one thing.
Right.
The guilt, like I that wasn't really it wasn't really touched on in the book, but I thought about it. Like, he must feel guilty, like not guilty in the I finally get to be at peace of knowing what happened with my brother, and be at peace knowing that he's not gonna hurt Luna, like try to hurt Luna, because even though Luna and them, they moved out the hood, they was around.
And with Jaden, this was my thought process. It was mentioned one time about, him waking up and kind of feeling away about what had happened with Dan Dan.
Yeah.
However, for me, I did not put him in that grief and guilt moment, because it was always something else going on. Their attention always had to be somewhere else, right? Like, because that happened to Dan Dan, and then boom, Jason.
The grandfather passed away that same day.
A life for a life, right? So it's like he couldn't even really just sit in it. They never got the chance to sit in anything. There was always something else that needed to be done, or their attention needed to be elsewhere every time, all the time, because that was the only way their dreams were going to become reality. It's like, okay, I'm sad, but I got to put it to the back of my mind because Luna, because I got Solar and Kwamar to think about, or and Jaden. I got to think about Jaden, and then subconsciously, I still really care about French, so I want to make sure all these people are good. Jaden, like, okay, I'm really missing my grandfather, but I can't. My head can't get messed up out here on this field. I'm a senior, you know what I'm saying? In high school, I got it. Like, they never was able to just sit in anything. They were always on go.
And with Javen, I don't think a lot of people realize is sports. Maybe I know a little bit more about sports than I let on, because
or you just know about emotions.
What I was going to say, yes. Well, first of all, I know about emotions. I said I'm Cancer, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, but y'all don't realize
emotions.
Okay, but like I tell everybody, anger is an emotion. So frustration is an emotion. So people are like, oh, are you sad all the time? No, actually not. I'm emotional, but actually y'all think emotional means sad, and it don't. It means that when the rage, I feel at a level that the average person
don't experience it.
People do not have the capacity, and this is why I always tell people do not have the capacity to feel the way that I feel, and that's why I keep myself removed from a lot of stuff, because the way I'ma behave, you're gonna think it is a lot deeper. It's just that's that. Whether it's sad, whether it's happy, whether it's joy, all of it, I feel on a different Richter scale than you do.
Right.
But what I was going to say about the football thing is, you're right about his head having to be in the game. Football players, boxers, hockey players, those are the three most dangerous sports. You get hit the wrong way, you're done. Not
forever.
You're done. And I don't think people it's a joke. The sports are so jovial and such an American built into the American infrastructure. It's those three sports I think I actually don't watch, because they're very barbaric. You literally
they're trying to make football less barbaric,
It's
but
not
it's still rooted
possible.
in it,
It's not
right?
possible.
The way the sport was set up, like, what do you
You
mean?
have 300 to 300-pound people who are literally training 9 months out of the year. That is muscle mass, literally. I don't care how many pads you put on a person.
Mm-mm.
And most of these football players are training since from the time that they're 3. Like you, it's just, I can't watch football for that reason. I think it's completely barbaric. I don't watch boxing for that reason. MMA, all of it. I think it's barbaric.
Yeah, I don't like boxing
I think
either.
and I am an anomaly in that factor because people are like, oh, it's not that deep. It is that deep. It is. But who am I to say? That's just my
I don't
opinion.
even watch those, fighting videos that come on Facebook and stuff like that. I do not like to watch them.
It's terrible. But
Yeah.
so all that to say that he absolutely had to keep his head in the game because one wrong hit, like just a side note, what movie made me really feel like this?
What?
Any Given Sunday. After I watched that, I was like, I will never watch football again.
Yeah.
And granted, they dramatized a lot of it, but
but
is what made me realize how deep some of this is in the game. Watching the TV show, The Game, they didn't show as much football on it, but I remember in season 1, something happened in the bathroom. Melanie was flirting. They thought Melanie was flirting with one of the football players. And the wife was like, what happens when I tell him not to block when your boyfriend gets the ball? And I really do think that a lot of nasty politics.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And y'all are disgusting. But all of that always stays in the back of my mind. And this I live with a dog.
It's real. I think that even when it's fictional, it's rooted in some realness. Like somebody's seen it in real life in order to even think of the idea.
And this is coming from somebody whose mother is a die-hard Eagles fan, won't miss a game, will literally redo when the Eagles schedule come out. My mom redoes her whole calendar from August all the way to February.
Lord.
She die-hard football. She watches all sports, but she's a die-hard Eagles fan. Like bleed green. Like, I mean, Philly is, for us to be up north, this is a football, like it's ridiculous. I know they said Philly has the worst fans in the country, or they're terrible, they're ridiculous. They are. But that's cool. Like I think, the grief and the guilt and the like always I really do feel like those, like you said, the grief was a character and they always had to worry about something. A lot. And Luna got a little bit of a break, but even when she got the break from the will and the house and the money, that was a whole nother thing. And I think that's another thing that people don't discuss or don't care is now you have the survivor's remorse. I get to live out the hood, but like you said, now I have to worry about, but what about this? And what about that? And what about my friends? And what if I couldn't take my little brother and my sister?
Right. What if I couldn't? Where were they going to go? Because Stephanie wasn't able to be what they needed to be at that time. But then it's like, okay, now I have all of this. And although it may have lightened the load a little bit, she was still carrying the world on her back, even with the money, even with the house.
People were judging her very harshly.
Yes. And let me say this.
There's
only one thing about Luna that I did not like as the writer, and it's weird because it's like, well, girl, you was writing it. You could have wrote it the way you wanted it to be written. And it really don't work like that. But outside of that, Luna is, first of all, she was a child. I don't care how mature she had to be. Scientifically speaking, none of their frontal lobes had been developed. So where we're reading it as 20, 30-year-olds, she doesn't have the same knowledge that we have. So everything that she did, we're not going to agree with because we're not 18. We're not a child.
Of survival is there, and I think, like, to your point about the internet, that has been going around the internet a lot lately too. People who were raised on survival don't live the same way who people were. You don't. Your
Right.
survival instincts are so sharpened that you don't even know how to turn it off. It actually, a study just came out about how Black women are always in fight or flight mode.
Yes. So imagine dealing with what she was dealing with, being young. Her fight and flight was multiplied by 100 at the very least, and every decision that she made was not going to be agreeable. I'm pretty sure if she was a real person, in hindsight she could go back and pick apart where she made a wrong decision. But I see that most people disagree with Luna the most when it came to Jaden. But that's just what I see in the book world in general. The women in books get way more flack than the men do.
I was about to say that. I think people hold women to a certain level of expectation of responsibility because that's just how we are in our community. Period.
But we shouldn't have to be.
But if you look around the Black community as a general, women are held to a certain accountability.
We're the chiefs. Yeah, because we're the chiefs. We're the decision makers. We're the make something happen. We're gonna make $1 out of 15 cents. Like we are magic. And sometimes when our magic is a little wonky, the people don't understand that our magic is a little wonky. They're like, why did you do this? You should have did that. Why you didn't do it?
I was actually surprised that people judged Luna so harshly after the whole Barbie thing. And I'm like, how can you not like this girl? Like,
it was her character. Whatever they wanted her to do, being mad, being in the uproar, not settling Jaden's debt. What they wanted her to do, she wasn't written that way. She was a mother before she was supposed to be a mother. And although Stephanie had taken that title back to relieve her daughter, it was still embedded in Luna. Yeah. And she had never, besides her getting into it with what was the girl's name? I want to say Peach, but that wasn't her name. At the party after the game, Luna was a girl's girl. She wasn't a messy girl. She wasn't a jealous.
And you saw that when Tiny came back. She even gave Tiny. She was like, I'm gonna let you explain yourself before I even write you off. I'm gonna let you tell me what happened before. And whereas French and Jaden was like, we don't trust you because you was
here. Solar definitely was like, where you been? Because I know they saying this, but you got to tell me something.
Well, you had to have a firecracker out of the crew, and that one, I thought more people would take issue with her behaviors,
and they didn't.
And it's weird because a lot of people were able to write her behaviors off as youth trauma and this, that, and the third, but not Luna's.
Right.
Which I find interesting personally because one, they weren't that far apart. I think they were only 3 years apart. And a lot of people are selfish and they would not be able to have done what Luna did. I know a lot of people do it every day, but there are still a lot of people who don't put themselves in predicaments that have to take care of their younger siblings.
Right. And she did. And because of that,
children for all that, like people
right. Right. And because she did, I feel that Luna should have been allowed all the grace. I think that if she wanted to mess up a million times over, we should give her grace because look at what she did.
I feel like, where did she mess up? Maybe
I don't know.
But it's like, where did she mess up? Because she
messed up by pushing Jaden away, so the people say. But she messed up with Jay, so the people say.
So here's my opinion. Not that it matters, but I mean, it's me and you here because nobody else is no more. But so we just carrying on like we on our own little conversation. We on the moon. I don't know where they are. This is how I feel, and this is how I felt reading the book. One, she took Jason's advice. So if y'all was gonna be mad at somebody, they should have been mad at Jason because he was looked at as the wise one who was there, he was the only person parenting in this book. Okay. So it was kind of like whatever he said, they were going to take it to hold it at a certain level of value because he was the only parent in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, good old stuff come around at the end, but by this time they grown, they done figured the whole lot of stuff. They don't need all the
Right.
folks who want forgiveness from their adult children don't come into their lives trying to parent. They parented themselves. Just come in and be there because you trying to lay down the law. That
it's
ain't
not gonna work. Yeah.
But so one, if you're gonna be mad at somebody, be mad at Jason. Two, like I said, somebody with a not a similar experience, but with a familiar experience. Like I said, I grew up hood adjacent, right? I went to boarding school. I lived two completely the kids on my way. They did not know nothing about anything about what I was doing at boarding school. Our curriculums were different. The access to is different. And I say that because it changes your perspective. And that's what college did for Jaden. Granted, Luna was trying to do better for herself. There is she still was not, she wasn't in the suburbs. She wasn't somewhere in a new environment. She moved to a safer place, but her environment definitely impacts your perception and your behavior.
Right.
Needed that time to mature. So all that she was pushing him away, would it have been better, hypothetically speaking, if he still did what he did and Luna was just accepting
there, right, and accepting,
just clinging to him, just like he still was going to do that. His behavior would not have changed. He still was going to do what he did. Now,
right.
it may not have lasted as long because by the time he got to the NFL, he probably then would have been like, Barbie, you know what? I'm leaving you here at this college campus. Thank you for 3 years of experience.
Right.
This has been wonderful. Here's your little money, your little gift bag.
Right.
When he got drafted, it probably would have changed the circumstances, right?
Right. Right.
But he still would have did what he did.
He did, right. And Luna and Javen, like, she wasn't dumb. She put one and one together and kind of got two, especially when Barbie called that morning and she heard her voice, but they never had a conversation about what he was actually at college doing with Barbie. So who knows how that would have went if she would have never pushed Javen away. And I think that she knew she needed it and he needed it. And it wasn't just because Jason had kind of made her promise, like, you're going to have to let Javen go one day, pretty much in order for him to come back a better person. I don't think that it was just that. I think that was at the forefront of her mind. But selfishly, I think that it was one less person she had to worry about.
Yeah.
Like, and that it's like, whew, I'm still carrying the world, but I got, I'm carrying the universe, but I got one planet off my back. Even though it's still heavy, like, okay, you're good over there, you're revolving around the sun, you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Solar was giving her enough troubles for her money, okay? Because and that's another interesting fact that I like when I was doing my research and like reading through the comments and stuff, people didn't. Well, I saw one person had an issue with Solar and French's relationship, and I was like, "That's interesting." I mean, clearly we knew because we saw it from the it was very known from the very beginning of the book that they both looked at each other very differently. It was like that's sticky.
Well,
she waited until she was a little bit older, but
yes, but French was only 16. When Solar was 14, French was only 16. That's only 2 years.
I thought he was 17.
It's 16, 17, 18.
Okay. I thought Javen and Lunar were right. No, because that's why she married him because
he wasn't 18 yet. Okay. Yeah, Jaden wasn't 18 yet.
So that's not that. Okay, so that's only 2 years.
See, but I knew what that could potentially be, and even I didn't want to do that when she was 14 and he was 16. It just wasn't their time yet. And although we felt the chemistry, he didn't act on it. Not even a little bit. Not even to give her hopes of one day that this is what this could be. He made sure to have a clear line between him and Solar, and I made sure that he made sure of that until she was very much of age. However, what we don't see is she did have a coup at 16, and we know that he signed the birth certificate and stuff. So I guess at that one incident, even though we didn't see it, that could have been a little, she's only 16.
16 is legal in some states. I'm not saying
in most states.
16 is, listen, with the shit that's going on in America right now,
he wasn't R. Kelly, so let's just say that he wasn't even Drake. He did right.
Okay, well,
he did right.
With that being said, wow.
But I thought I would get more flack for that than I did, and surprisingly, I really didn't.
I'm just going through the characters, trying to figure. Like, I just want to make sure we get through every character, because I just want to make sure people. I want to be like, well, you didn't even talk about the characters. No, we did a deep dive on every. I want to make sure we did a deep dive on every character. Tiny is the last character, because Kamar, I mean, we could talk about him, but he's just a badass kid.
Yeah, he just was a kid.
He's just a badass kid. Tiny got her happy.
I knew Tiny was going to get a happy ending.
You did or you didn't?
Yeah, I knew she was.
And she got a man who literally is giving very much Sierra Russell Wilson.
Yes, that's what I was going for.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tiny had a prayer.
Gabe.
Tiny had a prayer. Maverick came in and he was on go. He was on go from the jump. He respected how, although Lunar was no longer with them, that Lunar was still very much a part of that family. He respects Lunar. He loves Lunar, even though he never got to meet him. He, of course, loves little Lunar, So, and he made sure that, yeah, I'm your dad, but you also have another dad that was amazing. He was awesome. I don't think any of us would be here if it wasn't for him. So I made sure that she got her Russell Wilson, but Lunar was no Future.
No, I didn't get that. I was just saying, like,
yeah,
mind of somebody. That's what it was giving. That's another story for a different day.
Right.
This story ended. Everybody got a happily ever after. We got to see what grief could possibly look like on the other side. That was really a well done story. I'm glad that it's gotten the reception that it's deserved, because it was.
Me too.
You really put your thing down, flipped it, and reversed it. A few more questions, and if you have questions, please leave them in the chat. We're going to wrap up. Did you always know that you were going to take these two characters from your two different stories and wrap it up with a bow?
Yes and no. When I wrote Candy,
hold on. Let me. If you have not read Candy's story, and I always get these names, you got to say the names because I'm going to mess it up. Not on purpose. Long nights, early morning.
Yeah, long nights and early morning. I
always say something else. Long nights, early. It's a Marsha Ambrosius song, and I don't know why I can't.
Because it's late nights. Like the typical saying is late nights.
Thank you. And that's why I keep saying, because I'm like, the Marsha Ambrosius song is late nights, and I'm like, that's why I keep saying that.
Yeah, long nights and early mornings.
Candy is from that book. But if you have not read it, you have to read that first before you read the next
Your Slab.
Jay, how do you say his name?
Jay Sean
is in To the Moon. People were upset how Luna did Jay Sean. If you have not read it, he gets his happy ending. Please go read it so y'all can stop with the she did him wrong. She was the woman for him. He knew that in his heart of all hearts. Why come people never have to take accountability when they know they're in the wrong relationship? That's a question I had, but that's another story for another day. Really do have that question. People,
I think if I was in Luna's situation, I would have done exactly what she did.
they just want Luna girl to be single and sad and waiting for J-Ben.
Right. You know, but my girl had to have a backup plan. My girl had a backup plan.
They wanted her to be single, sad, and lonely, waiting for Javen. And oh, she broke Jay Sean. If he was around them people, he knew what was up. There's no like, come on, the same way Barbie knew what was up. Y'all got these, and then Jay Sean was grown. He was grown. One, he ain't had no business with her. Two, he knew what was up. Now he might not have known they was married, but he definitely knew
that there was something way deeper. Because he said it the first time she told him he could come over to outside her house, you know, before Kumar didn't want Sola to see him naked anymore. So it's like, because he was like, it's like y'all, you know, like that's your baby daddy, like y'all got like a little family or whatever. And it's very much they had that Jaden was essentially her baby
daddy. That's pretty, yeah. So did you know that you wanted them to have their, I mean, Candy's story is a lot deeper than.
Yes. What I knew, I didn't know that it was going to be Jay Sean until I started writing To the Moon. After I finished Long Nights and Early Mornings with Candy, I knew the type of man that I was going to have for her. I knew what type of man she needed, right? And then when I'm in To the Moon and I introduced Jay Sean, I said, while I was writing it, boom, this is gonna be Candy's man. So even before I was done writing To the Moon, I knew that Jay Sean was going to be hers. Just because he fit the criteria of what I knew that she needed. With To the Moon, what I do as an author, which some readers may like or not like, is if I introduce a character, be very mindful if you feel like you don't know that character all the way and it's done purposefully. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to be somewhere else placed.
Do that mean
within the universe? Barbie will be somewhere else. And I know everybody get mad at me for saying that, but Barbie is my girl. Barbie will be a lot more places. I'm going to say that.
She got hype about that. She means that.
She will be a lot more places. Like Barbie will be here and here and here and here and here and here. Wow. The transition of her and Luna and Javen really, really catapults her into something else that I cannot wait for y'all to see. And it's not going to be all that pretty. In every instance that we will see Barbie in the future, y'all probably still ain't gonna like her yet. But I will make you guys love her eventually. I just need to sprinkle her here and there for y'all not to like her real, real bad. And then boom, now y'all gonna be like, oh my God, Barbie.
I'm not sold, but we will see.
Yeah, I love taking the broken and the flawed. Like that is my thing. I love heavily flawed characters. I love them down. And then I love cleaning them up and polishing them.
I too love heavily flawed characters. I don't like shallow characters, and Barbie gives me shallow. So
yeah, she was shallow. That's why I say what that instance turns her into. Well, I'm gonna say this: she's gonna be shallow for a little while longer, even when she's sprinkled here and there, until she has her reckoning. Okay. Where she has to do some accountability on herself and really just, you know, all it takes is you to find that one person and they really change who you are as a person, not intentionally.
The one person is yourself. That's what you need to find.
Well, Barbie, I got you, boo.
We gotta wrap this up. What are some of the key takeaways you want readers to leave with after reading this book?
What my dedication was. I want you to walk away knowing that you can be everything you thought you couldn't be. Pretty much. Whatever that is, whatever that looks like for you, success is really in the eyes of the beholder. So at whatever your dreams are, your goals are, if you think that you can't do it, you really can. You just may got to take a few more steps to get there, but you can do it. They did it, and I know that they're fictional, but you can do it. And like they say, we are Black children. We are the eighth wonders of the world. So we own this shit.
So speaking of the eighth wonder of the world, we see To the Moon is the first of the eighth wonder series. Is this series going to continue to follow the characters we've already met into the moon, or will there be new characters, a mix of both?
As of right now, there will only be one more book in the Eighth Wonders, but that's just right now where it stands. And that's Qamar's story, Beyond the Stars. And so of course he's an older character. We will get to see French and Solar, Luna, Jade. We'll get to see all of them.
Like what, 3 kids?
But yeah, I'm introducing some new characters that.
How old will he be?
He will be a sophomore in college.
So this is
8
years later?
Mm-hmm.
8 years later. So that means they're in their so that means Luna is in her 30s.
Mm-hmm. They're grown.
So there's gonna be a lot more kids.
Maybe.
It gotta be.
I will say for sure there will be some more kids.
I'm like, it gotta be.
Whose kids will they be?
Solar's, because it'll be Solar's kids. That
you think so?
I do. That's a baby making factory. I know a baby making factory when I see one. When you got a man,
keep in mind where we left off at. They're not married yet,
and that's fine.
Are they married?
Yeah.
Beyond the Stars.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say yes.
No. No.
I'm gonna say yes. We have over 50 people on here. Nobody is talking. Can I not see the comments?
Yeah, y'all don't got no. I don't see none either. Did it pause like the last one?
I don't know. Did it stop? Cherie, did it stop? I don't know. Okay, guess
so they're not married, and that's an exclusive. They're not married.
I don't like where my brain just went. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Look, when it comes to me, you don't ever know if I'm playing or if I'm serious.
Because you always you're the kind of person I can't be friends with because you play too much. You can't have my number when this is over.
I like to be mysterious.
You will not be texting. I will not be coming to Atlanta.
I love to be mysterious. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Is that the next book that you have coming out? If not, what will be your next book? Can you tell us?
It's not my next book that's coming out.
Okay.
I don't think it is, but I can't tell you what my next book coming out because
she don't know.
It's an exclusive, so I can't say it yet. But
is it old characters or new characters?
The next book will be brand new characters. They're not even really over here in this universe. But yeah, but fully from me, through me, with everything in me, will be Beyond the Stars. That's my next book after that project that I have to wrap up. But under me, for me, will be Beyond the Stars, and I'll say end of summer-ish. It will be another long book, like To the Moon. It will follow the broken up into 3 parts trend. Like I say, it is Qamar's story. Of course, we will see the other characters. You will get to see French and Solar's story in the present time. Yeah, I think Qamar is going to be very surprising to everybody. I've already started writing it. I am absolutely in love. Again, it could be me being cocky. However, I do believe that Beyond the Stars will be better than To the Moon. I've gotten all the feels, huh?
But that's coming from a different place. So this is what I'm gonna ask you, and then we're gonna wrap for real.
Okay.
If To the Moon is coming from a place of grief, where is Beyond the Stars coming from?
Beyond the Stars is more so coming from me and how I feel on a day-to-day basis, which is kind of like having imposter syndrome. I will say that Kumar definitely has imposter syndrome. However, his love interest, she's gonna feel very familiar to him. We've never met her. He's never met her, but she does feel very familiar.
Ooh, child.
If I had to kind of base her off of old characters to kind of give you a gist of who she is, I would say she is a mixture of Luna and Solar. She is a mixture.
Well,
but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be really, really good. And where y'all find him at, you're gonna be surprised. You're gonna be surprised at where Kumar is.
Well, you just told us he's in college. Is he?
Okay,
not?
that don't mean nothing. He is in college. But where we find him at, they're gonna be like, what?
This is gonna be interesting because now the family got money. Like, so it's not like they don't have to.
A lot of money.
They could pay about it. They could pay for college.
Luna is rolling in the dough. Javen is rolling in the dough. Maverick is like, everybody is rolling in the dough. So he is surrounded by, the only person who ain't rolling in the dough is Stephanie, but I mean, essentially she is, because they, everybody takes care of her, but she ain't really making her own money. But he's dealing with, they took him to the moon and now he's ready to go beyond the stars. But how he gets there, his road is.
Well, I guess we'll have to see at the end.
And he's a Gemini like me, just like Jay Sean was. Me and Jay Sean got the same birthday, and it's coming up.
I would say, I literally was about to say, y'all, she's only saying that because she wants y'all to go read the book to find out when her birthday is. She's only saying that so y'all can go read the book, so y'all can find out when her birthday is. I know this Gemini lady. I know her, and like my spirit knows her. I know your ways, woman. I know your ways.
I'm just saying, me and Jay Sean are one in the same. We're twins.
Can you please tell our friends at Sistah Girls Book Club where they can keep up with you and your antics, so they can follow you and keep up with when this story is coming out, please?
I would say the best place to keep up with me at is, I want to get my Instagram followers up. So y'all go follow me on Instagram at Evelyn Latrice. Go find me there. But definitely sign up to my mailing list, which is www.evelynlatrice.com for updates on when Beyond the Stars is coming and for anything else that may come in between. And Facebook. I feel like I'm my most authentic self on Facebook. So come find me on Facebook, Evelyn Latrice. That's it. Evelyn Latrice. Everywhere. That's me everywhere.
Well, Sistah Girls, I hope that you enjoyed this chat. I hope you enjoyed the book. Again, Evelyn, this is definitely in my top 5 of the year so far.
Thank you.
Definitely was an enjoyable, and I like long reads. I actually love long reads, so this was right up my alley. Thank you for giving us this gift.
Thank you.
Of experiencing these characters. I love to, just give authors their flowers. This is not an easy job, and you did a phenomenal job bringing this work of art together. I guess that they didn't have any questions. I hope you guys enjoyed some of our shenanigans tonight, because we got off track a few times, but we're going to wrap up. And this is our last read. We are on summer break.
I was at the end.
Because you to make it more memorable.
Yeah, and it's about to be Gemini season. You had to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
We are on summer break, so you will not see me here next month. Prayerfully, you will see me back in September with a new read and a new, well, not a new author, but another author. And
Mhm.
enjoy your summer. And if you have any book suggestions, please drop them to me and we'll get to our summer reading. But don't leave the book club because we got other stuff that happens in the summertime. So make sure you stay active. Have a good,
Right. Stay active.
have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you guys in the book club.
Bye,
Bye.
y'all.